Sometimes life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. Imagine going on a blind date, nervous and uncertain, only for everything to go terribly wrong. Awkward silences, misunderstandings, even heartbreak waiting at the corner. But what if that same night, from the ruins of disappointment, destiny quietly builds the foundation for a love you never thought was possible? This is the story of Emma, a woman who walked into a cafe for a blind date and walked out with her entire life changed forever. Stay with me till the end. You'll see why sometimes the worst nights can turn into the most beautiful beginnings. Emma sat in her car, staring at the cafe across the street. She could feel her heart thumping in her chest. It had been years since her last serious relationship. Years of avoiding heartbreak, of trying to convince herself that she was fine being alone. But loneliness has a way of creeping in when the world gets quiet. Her best friend, Sophie, had convinced her to try a blind date. What's the worst that can happen? At least you'll get a free dinner. Sophie had laughed, nudging her with playful confidence. But Emma wasn't laughing now. Her palms were sweaty, her lips dry, and doubt screamed inside her head. What if he thought she was boring? What if he didn't show up? Or worse, what if he did, and he turned out to be everything she feared in men: arrogant, selfish, or someone who only pretended to care? Taking a deep breath, Emma finally pushed the cafe door open. Warm lights, the smell of roasted coffee beans, and soft acoustic music filled the air. She scanned the room nervously until she spotted a man waving. His name was Adam. Or at least, that's what Sophie had said. At first glance, he looked perfect. Tall, confident, well dressed, with a smile that could light up the room. But Emma soon realized appearances could be deceiving. Within 10 minutes, the conversation was already falling apart. Adam barely asked her any questions, talking endlessly about himself. His job, his car, his gym routine, even the watch he wore. Emma tried to smile politely. But her soul was shrinking. She sipped her coffee, nodding, wishing the ground would open up and swallow her whole. Then came the moment that broke her heart a little. When Emma mentioned her passion for writing children's books, a dream she held close to her chest. Adam laughed dismissively. Really? That's cute. He smirked. But don't you think you should focus on something more serious? You know, a real career. His words stung like poison. Emma felt her throat tighten. It wasn't just his arrogance. It was the way he made her feel invisible, as if her dreams were too small to matter. By the time the date ended, Emma was exhausted, humiliated, and furious with herself for ever agreeing. As she stepped outside, the cool night air hit her face, and tears she had been holding back finally escaped. She didn't want anyone to see her cry, so she walked quickly down the street, her heels clicking against the pavement. But fate had a different plan. Just as she turned the corner, distracted by her own heartbreak, she bumped into someone. Her bag slipped, spilling her notebook, phone, and pens onto the sidewalk. "I'm so sorry," she muttered, kneeling to pick everything up. That's when she looked up and saw him. He wasn't tall and polished like Adam. He was dressed simply, in a gray hoodie and jeans, with kind eyes that immediately softened the chaos inside her. He handed her the notebook gently, noticing the tears still clinging to her lashes. "Rough night?" he asked softly, not in a nosy way, but with genuine concern. Emma wanted to brush it off, but something about his voice, steady, warm, real, made her pause. And for the first time all evening, she didn't feel judged. His name was Daniel. Unlike Adam, Daniel didn't try to impress her with flashy stories or shallow compliments. Instead, he simply listened. They ended up sitting on a bench near the cafe. Emma explaining how her blind date had been a disaster, and Daniel laughing with her. Not at her, but in a way that made her feel lighter. "Sounds like he didn't deserve your time," Daniel said, his eyes sincere. "Anyone who laughs at your dreams doesn't understand what dreams are made of." Those words stayed with Emma. They walked for hours that night, sharing pieces of their lives. Daniel worked as a mechanic, fixing cars at a small local garage. He admitted that people often underestimated him too, assuming he wasn't ambitious just because he didn't wear a suit. But he loved his work. He loved the honesty of fixing something broken and seeing it run again. That night, Emma laughed more than she had in months. And for the first time in years, she felt seen. Not for how she looked, not for what she achieved, but for who she truly was. Over the weeks that followed, Emma and Daniel's paths kept crossing. A text here, a coffee there, until slowly, what began as an accident turned into a bond neither of them could ignore. Emma found herself sharing her book drafts with him. Stories she had been too shy to show anyone else. Daniel read them with wonder, his encouragement sparking a fire in her that Adam's cruel words had almost extinguished. But it wasn't all perfect. Emma's doubts whispered constantly. Could a mechanic and a writer really build a life together? Would people judge them for coming from such different worlds? One evening, overwhelmed, she told Daniel maybe they should stop seeing each other. Daniel didn't argue. He simply looked at her and said, "Emma, love isn't about matching on paper. It's about building something real, brick by brick. And I'd rather build with you, even if it's messy, than live a perfect life with someone else." Those words broke through her fears. Emma realized she had been chasing the wrong idea of love. One built on appearances and expectations. With Daniel, she found something deeper: respect, kindness, and a safe place where her heart could finally rest. Months later, Emma's first children's book was published. On the day of her launch, she scanned the crowd nervously, until she saw him. Daniel, standing proudly in the back, holding a bouquet of wildflowers, smiling at her like she was the only person in the room. In that moment, Emma understood. The blind date may have gone wrong, but it was necessary. Because without it, she would never have walked into Daniel's world. And sometimes, the love we least expect is the love that saves us. Life doesn't always give us what we think we want. Sometimes, it gives us heartbreak first, so we can recognize the real thing when it finally arrives. Emma thought her night had been ruined, but that wrong turn led her straight to the love she never expected. And maybe that's the lesson for all of us: don't fear the broken nights, the tears, or the disappointments. Because often, those moments are just stepping stones towards something far more beautiful than we imagined.